Welcome to the road to 1 million US dollars. Let's get right into the Bitcoin chart for today, starting on this 4-hour time frame for Bitcoin. Because right now, Bitcoin has fallen below the Fibonacci golden pocket, which it is currently retesting as we speak. So right now on this 1-day time frame, if we just close this daily candle inside the golden pocket in about 7 hours, in that case, we are still just holding this as a level of support. But of course, if we close a daily candle below, that could be that first warning signal. And besides that, on this 4-hour time frame, if you get a rejection from here, then likely we are going lower for the Bitcoin price, potentially even retesting this 0.5 level at 62.7K. And of course, if we do just get a daily candle close inside or above that golden pocket, then of course we could just be bouncing from here. So that is something that I'm keeping an eye on as well. Now, besides that, taking a look at this 1-day time frame, Bitcoin is still just consolidating in this descending channel that I talk about quite frequently on the channel. But more importantly, if we take a look at the RSI momentum indicator on the 1-day time frame, recently we of course saw this breakout to the upside, which corresponded to this breakout right here. So we saw a lot of upside as expected. However, right now, the RSI is actually normalizing back to around that 50 level here. And something that I'm personally keeping an eye on here, if we are going to retest this, is if we flip it into a level of support or if we actually fall below this trend line. Because in my opinion, if we fall below this trend line, then likely more bearish momentum could be coming after that. So what else is going on this 4-hour time frame? Well, of course, if you watch my recent videos, I confirmed this bearish divergence right here at about 68,000 US dollars. And in the case that you don't know, typically a bearish divergence, as I mentioned at the time, indicates that we are likely getting a break from all of the bullish price action, and more likely is either some choppy sideways price action or potentially some bearish momentum in the short term. And so far, since confirming this bearish divergence, we actually saw a 7% move to the downside. So this was actually quite an effective warning signal here, especially in confluence with this 1-day descending channel, where I said that we should be expecting some resistance around this 68K level, because it also corresponds with one of the Fibonacci levels. And of course, after that, we saw this rejection back down. Now, taking a look at the support and resistance levels here for Bitcoin, again, first on this 1-day time frame, currently we are below this big level of support, sitting from 66 all the way down to 65,000 US dollars. But I am reserving my judgment here with actually flipping this into a level of resistance until we actually get a rejection back down. So as you can see, it's very similar to the other chart that I showed earlier. We fell below it. And now if we get a rejection from here, then I will flip this into a level of resistance for the future. And if we actually see that, then first of all, pay attention to these lows at around 63.3K, but this will only be a short-term level of support. More likely is that we are going to fall into this next big level of support below that, from 62.4K all the way down to 60,000 US dollars for the Bitcoin price. And again, pay attention to that 62.6K level as well in the case that you see this rejection. So in conclusion for this technical analysis here, so far we are just seeing this bearish divergence play out as expected. We have fallen below this big level of support. However, I will reserve my judgment here to actually wait for that daily candle close to see what is going to happen after that. Because in my opinion, it is actually still possible that we close the day either inside this range or potentially even above it, unless we of course get that rejection down, in which case I can then confidently flip this into a level of resistance. So those are some of the things that I'm paying attention to in the charts for today. But as I do every day, we should also take a look at the Bitcoin liquidation heat maps. First of all, on this 3-month time frame, on this move to the downside, we of course took out quite some liquidity to the downside here, but there is still liquidity left, sitting as low as about 62.9K. And there's also some liquidity at 61.9K as well. So this liquidity down here is now becoming more and more visible as in the recent days. So this is now something that we should be paying attention to. And besides that, if we take a look at the 1-week time frame, we took out a lot of liquidity to the downside here because a lot of people were longing the Bitcoin price and they got liquidated, meaning they lost all their money on their trade on this big move to the downside. And in fact, we already dipped into this massive pocket of liquidity, liquidating about $880 million worth of long positions on this wick to the downside. However, there is still quite a bit of liquidity left here, sitting at about 63.3K again. So potentially the Bitcoin price can get attracted to this level once again, because there is still over $900 million worth of liquidity at this level. However, there's now also quite a bit of liquidity to the upside, about $550 million sitting at about 69,000 US dollars. So again, pay attention to that level. But most of the liquidity on this 1 week time frame is to the downside, and that is simply a fact. However, on the higher time frames, most of the liquidity is actually to the upside. Now, lastly, taking a look at the Bitcoin ETF flow tables for today. 2 days ago, we saw a net outflow of about $80 million, and this could be a potential warning signal. Now, for yesterday, we actually saw a net inflow, a small inflow of about $40 million. And I say small because usually, on average, the ETFs buy about $130 million worth of Bitcoin every single weekday. And therefore, this $40 million inflow on Wednesday was relatively small. So for now, there isn't really too much to say about this. If we really start seeing consistent net outflows from these ETFs, then likely this will have a downwards pressuring effect on the Bitcoin price. But for now, they continue to be bullish, and therefore I think not too much is really going on with these ETFs for now. However, I will of course continue to check back in with the charts and these ETF flow tables every single day. I'm really trying to reach 4,000 subscribers, so if you can help me out with that, thank you very much. Either way, if you do end up subscribing or not, this has been today's market update. Thank you very much for watching once again, and I will see you tomorrow in the next one.